So on Monday, I trained the ring muscle up, and the first exercise I did was the floor transition drill. And as you can see, this exercise mimics the transition portion of the muscle up, as it's something I neglected in the previous weeks of my training, as I tested out how many reps I could do in the muscle up, and I could only do one. This video I have is me doing my first muscle up, and I did 6 weeks of isometric training as shown in these two videos. But in the false grip pull up, I started getting some left elbow pain as I started adding a lot of load. I reached like 10 kilos in each position isometrically, which did help me a lot, but I pushed a bit too much and I got a little tendonitis in my left elbow. So now, to be able to do more reps, which is my goal in the muscle up, I'm training the transition as it's something I neglected. So just a little tip, it's to test your ability in the movement you want to achieve, and then isolate what you need to work on. So on Tuesday, I did a lower body workout, and I started with a horse stance vertical, which is basically an exercise that's helped me a lot when it comes to properly bracing and activating your core muscles like the TVA when bracing in a back squat, for example. And here I'm doing the squat. I'm not focusing too much on the weight, focusing more on being able to do 6 to 8 reps, which target more of a hypertrophy response. On Wednesday, I had been neglecting my handstand practice, so I decided to dedicate some time, and in this video I'm doing it in a wall that's not very convenient. Here I'm doing another transition drill, which is doing pretty much a muscle up, but instead of doing it in a pull-up pattern, I'm doing it in a row, and this is pretty helpful. And the more you elevate your legs, the harder it gets, like in the proper ring muscle up. So it's a good regression and also a good way to clean up your technique. And then I also did some circuit training, targeting more twisting movements. So here I'm doing a cable wood chop, well, with a band. I don't have access to cables in my house. I also did a cable push or banded push with a rotation, and I also did this as a pulling movement. So I think it's important to add twisting movement patterns in your training routine, and I like the idea of adding it as a circuit to also have this more of a cardiovascular response. On Thursday, I trained for the ring muscle up again, and this time I started with the false grip pull up. And no, I'm not kipping. I can actually pull myself and touch the rings with my nipples. And then I supersetted this exercise with ring dips. Again, trying to go as deep as possible without the rings coming out of my body and keeping them close. Seeing the video, I see I struggle a bit, and I think I push a bit too much with my right, and my left shoulder's in an awkward position. Then I did another superset with neutral grip pull-ups. Again, just doing more vertical pushing and pulling, which is what is required for the ring muscle up. So just thinking about what I want to train and what's functional for what I want to develop in my training. And here I'm doing feet supported ring dips. So here's a good way to kind of re-educate the dip pattern in the rings. as I have assistance from my legs, I can just focus on pushing evenly with my shoulders. Sometimes it's good to regress the movement and then become more aware of the movement and where there's faulty loading. And then I ended by doing some hangs and just accumulating time in that position, and I alternate between passive hangs and active hangs just to work that grip strength and also get some hypertrophy in my forearms. And again, it's always good to have really good grip strength when it comes to the upper body, as you're always grabbing something. Again, on Friday I did another lower body session, but this time I started with the back squats because honestly doing the core work in the start is very fatiguing, so I'd rather start with the squats. Then I did some stride stance Romanian deadlifts to target the hamstrings. So I do more on my leg days. I also do step ups, like the horse stance, which I showed previously in the video, and some other core work. Then in the weekend I trained some handstands, and I kind of slacked off with my handstand training because I fell and hit my knee and legs pretty badly, so I had a bit of fear going back to the movement. And finally, in the weekend I also got the Russian dip. It's a very good drill to train the transition portion of the ring muscle up, so I'm very proud of that. So if you ever have a goal that you want really in life, honestly, always start with smaller goals. Break it down. In every single body weight exercise, you can always find regressions or other variations of an exercise to reach the intended movement.